what was the dynamic like with Vince when you met up? Because we always hear that he's not really a fan of masked wrestlers, but he still went with the Patriot gimmick. So how did you get along with Vince?
Well, I had gone up and worked for Vince up in the early 90s, maybe 91, 92. I went out on the road for a while. Rick Martel was hurt. They needed somebody to fill a spot. So I'd already, known Vince and been around Vince and worked for Vince back then. So Jim Ross, who I was friends with and knew very well, and Bruce Pritchard, who you mentioned before. And Bruce had gone to Vince and said, look, man, we ought to bring Dale in. And I think we could do a lot with him. He's shown that he's worked all over the world and he's had success wherever he's been. So Bruce called me and said, look, man, Vince wants to talk to you. They FedExed me the ticket and I flew up and had a long talk with Vince. And you're exactly right. He wasn't that thrilled about the idea of a masked man. He just felt like that point in time in the wrestling industry and the climate of the wrestling industry that people just would not buy into a masked man. And I said, well, Vince, I said, I totally disagree with you. I said, look at the success I had in WCW, two-time tag team champs there. I said, look at the success I had in Global. And I said, even more, look at the success I had in All Japan. I said, so this is a very popular, well-known character worldwide. And I think I could have the same success here. And he sort of begrudgingly agreed with me to let me do what I wanted to do. I was one of the few guys that, and you think about this, one of the few guys that ever went to work for Vince that came in with his own gimmick that Vince did not create. Vince usually likes to create the character and create the gimmick, and then that way he owns it as well. Yeah. But he did not create that. I went in with my own character. I kept that character. And obviously, it didn't take Vince long to realize the response I was getting at TV, the response I was getting on the road, that it was a character that the people could latch on to, had an emotional investment in, and a character that was over with the people, because it wasn't but a few short weeks later that he came to me about the idea of doing the Bret Hart angle, the America versus Canada angle. So I think he saw that it was still a worthwhile character.
Definitely. And you come to the angle with Bret, and like for anybody that hasn't seen it, I'd strongly recommend watching the match with the Patriot and Bret Hart at Ground Zero. For me, I think it's one of at least for what I love out of wrestling, it's definitely in the top 10 of displaying what proper pro wrestling I think should be. There was such a really good heel babyface, good versus evil dynamic, with great actual technical work then as well. So just talk a little bit about the memories of working with Bret at the time.
Well, it was a pleasure working with Bret. Bret's a pro's pro. We know the background of the family and how he came up, and the influence that the Hart family has had throughout pro wrestling for decades and decades. And one thing I always liked, I took my job very seriously. I didn't get in the ring to make people laugh. I didn't want to do funny spots. I didn't want to do comedy spots. I wanted people to look at this as a believable athletic contest. Mm-hmm. And that just fit right in with the way Bret felt and the way Bret did business. And I felt like our styles really meshed well together. And honestly, I thought it was just an extension of what I've been doing in All Japan for all those years. It was a rather snug style, which I'm fine with. I don't mind snugness in the ring. I like it. I think it makes it look better. It makes the product look better, more believable. And Bret, was cut out of the same cloth. And so it was just a natural fit. And then just the storyline itself was just natural. I mean, here's the face of the company that all of a sudden this Canadian that was really liked by the WWF fan base has now turned on America, and he's trashing America, and he's calling Americans awful names and saying bad things about this country. And in walks a guy that is literally draped in the flag called the Patriot, and he's standing up for the American way. He's ready to take on that evil Canadian. who, as a matter of fact, that evil Canadian has to leave his own country to come to America to make his living, but yet he's bad mouthing this country and putting the boots to this country. So just everything about the angle and the program fit, and it worked well. And I enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun doing it together.